Hi, I'm here with Matt Biolos at the Lost Factory, and I'd like to introduce everybody to Matt Biolos. He's a very well-known shaper here in Southern California, and give us a little bit about yourself and where you came from and how you started surfing.
Hi, how you doing? I started surfing here in Orange County and started making boards in the mid to late 80s here in San Clemente, working in the Herbie Fletcher factory. Best thing about it was there's so many good surfers in the area that you could kind of latch onto them and use them as test pilots, and a lot of real consistent surf down at Trestles makes it really easy to test your boards in the same kind of waves over and over again. So it's a really good place to build boards for average surfers and hot surfers alike.
Cool. I know you were one of the first guys here on the West Coast start using the more technical side of surfboard shaping, the machine. What got you motivated to get into using machine, and what are the benefits and how it's improved your shaping?
What got me motivated was I started getting more demand for my boards, and people wanted the same board that I made the time before, or but a little bit different.
Yeah.
So as far as using a planer, the old school skill planer to mow out boards from blanks, it's definitely a skill I developed and did for a good 6 to 8 years, and I'm proud of being able to use that tool and sculpt foam with it. But at the end, it was becoming futile to try and consistently make good boards for guys demanding good boards over and over and over again that way, without spending like 7-8 hours in the room on 1 or 2 boards. At the same time, we started getting demand for more and more boards from retailers and customers. And rather than spending all my day, trying to shape by hand 4 boards to send to stores, I could design my boards in a CAD program, get them exactly how I want them, and then I could make 8 or 10 boards in a day with the help of the machine getting it started.
And now that the technology is pretty much at its forefront, where do you think it's going?
Well, it's getting more and more refined. We just bought our new machine. I had my first machine, the Luciano Leal DSD out of Brazil, for 10 years, and we just finally upgraded to an AccuShape machine, which is a collaborative between some programmers in Hawaii and a machine builder in Australia. And so right now I'm in the first 6 months of relearning everything, a whole new design program, a whole CAD program. But this machine takes the boards 90% design-wise, 95% design-wise. It cuts the finish time down about another 50% from what it would take to finish off the old machine, and we're just getting very, very exacting, detailed boards where we're just working in millimeters. And
for guys who have never picked up a surfboard, especially in the kiting industry, who are riding boards, what boards that should they be riding to get up and going? And
for what?
For kiting or for regular surfboards. Because the crossover now is a lot of guys who have never surfed before that kite want to surf. What board should they be looking for to get up and going?
Well, the difference between the kite boarding and surfing is surfing you have to catch the wave with your arms. Yeah. So it's no use in getting frustrated trying to paddle around and catch waves on a board that doesn't flow you good enough. So over volume for sure, extra volume for paddle surfing. For kiting, I know very little about it. Where I live, we have such light winds here in the San Juan Bay, between Salt Creek and Trestles, that we see very little of it. But the interesting thing, when you see the kite surfers that are going without straps now, and that I think they're going at lower speeds rather than just screaming really fast across the choppy water, that the design between surfboards and kiteboards is probably getting closer between the two.
So the similarities and the differences within kiting, are you starting to see more surfers come to you and ask for kite boards? Or
me personally, I'm not, because of where we live. Up in Huntington or LA, you see more of it picking up. Obviously in Europe you see a lot more of it, Hawaii. But as far as my clientele, my crew of customers, no. But I think that the growing aspect of it is really good for our whole industry and for the whole water sports world, whether it's it's just getting people to use the water more and kind of like stand-up paddling. If it's really glassy and flat and hot, it's a great way to tour the coast. Gets people out on lakes, gets them interested in our culture and our lifestyle. And in the end, kind of buying our products, wearing our clothes, looking more like surfers instead of like gangbangers or whatever trends are out there. And kiting is kind of the opposite end. If you live in a place where there's more wind, if it's a tool to use. I know a few guys in town that on the 3 or 4 windy days of the season that are really windy and howling, they're out on kiteboards and they're really using what we have. Like that same guy will be on a 12-foot log nose riding, 6-inch dribblers. And then you might see him out on a stand-up paddleboard, and then when it's 4 to 6 foot glassy and perfect, he's riding a high-performance shortboard. And it's just another tool to use with what Mother Nature throws at you. I guess mainly for guys that have a lot of time on their hands.
Yeah, I know.
That no matter if people say, "How come you're not doing more stand-up paddle?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know." It's like
you actually work.
It's like, well, it's so cool on flat days. I go, "Hey, flat days, I'm trying to get my work done, so when the waves do come, I can surf." But I think it's good. I think it's just the more people in getting involved in the ocean and kind of the surfing lifestyle and all its derivatives, it's good for our whole industry. It's people that are trying to continue our love of the sports by being in the business, whether it's making clothes or magazines or websites and stuff.
So starting your own company, Lost has been around for a while. Starting out from a little garage to where it's grown today with the Lost energy drink and everything, and the clothing, which is really taken off to be one of the top brands out in the surfing industry.
Well, yeah, we're small fry compared to the Billabongs and Quicksilvers, Hurleys, Nikes of the world. I guess the industry is run by Nike now, but
who don't they own?
Yeah,
but
we're actually kind of. Our starting point was almost rallying against that. We're like, Lost is kind of Revenge of the Nerds. Remember those movies from the 80s? It's just like
the little guys.
We were the little guys. We weren't the hottest surfers. We didn't have the rich kids on the beach in Newport. And we were just kind of like outcasts and realizing that our brand Lost, we don't project an image, or we reflect an image. We like to think of ourselves as kind of reflection of what real everyday guys are, like typical surfers, and we reflect that image in our marketing and in our message. You don't have to be the coolest guy in town. You don't have to be the richest guy or have the hottest chick, or you just got to party and have more fun than those guys.
Exactly.
Yeah, like we're not Team One, we're Team Lost. We weren't sponsored by Quicksilver, Gotcha when we were kids. Just kind of like every man's thing, and have fun with it. It's like we're in a business that's all about having fun. So if you're gonna put a bunch of money in a magazine for an ad, we're gonna make sure it's funny and have fun and like, hey, lighten up.
Yeah.
So that's about it, really.
Yeah. Have you, I know a little bit in surfing, much more in kiting, but guys are working with bamboo. Have you tried that at all?
I've done very little work with bamboo. Like I said, the guys at Firewire are doing bamboo decks on EPS cores. I'm not working in that technology with them. I'm working with their traditional balsa rail technology. Bamboo's, it's the miracle wood. It's like you put it on your floor, you eat with bamboo forks. It does a little bit of everything. It's really strong. It grows really fast. I don't see why not. It's just like right now, our brand, Lost Surfboards we're a volume brand. Shops want 30 boards. They want 20 boards. They want 50 boards. They want standard materials. They want to flip them. They want to get people in the store. The people want to buy a brand name board with designs and models that they trust. They know it's going to work for a price they're used to paying. And I've gone out every year the last 5 years. Here's a technology we're backing. Here's a technology we're backing. It's $100 more. It's $150 more, and it's just getting refuted. It just keeps getting refuted, and it's just a message. The core surfer, the customer of ours, is just wanting traditional materials, and we give it to them. Yeah. At the same time, we play with other things. I'm not an inventor or a composites guy or a engineer. I'm a designer. I'm a marketeer, and so people usually bring me the technology. Here, Matt, you've got the brand. You've got these surfboard designs people like. Here's the technology. Let's try it. So that's what I do. I kind of wait for them to come.
In an ideal world, where do you see surfing? What would you like to do with surfboards and the technology, and what would you like to push?
Well, I don't want surfboards that last forever, because not just on a selfish reason, because I want to make a lot of boards, because I don't. I'd rather make half the boards I'm making and make, twice the money per board. But I don't think surfboards will last forever because it stagnates design. It's like automobiles. They're not designed to last forever. Automobiles are in a pathetic existence right now. I hate to compare surfboards to automobiles, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If the things last too long, the design stagnates, and the thrill kind of goes away too. Like me, I'm on the extreme end of the spectrum. I ride a board 5 or 6 times, and I'm like, okay, I need another one. What's next? What am I going to try next? And I think after a year or so, things start. Guy gets a board, and next summer it starts warming up, and he's fretting, and he's looking at the magazines and looking at the boards, going surfing. It's like, man, I need a new board to get me all excited again. And so I think surfboards, I like the fact that they're, I don't say disposable, but I like the fact that they're fragile and they're handmade and they're something that you rotate through and you keep it fun, rather than say a guy who uses the same aluminum baseball bat for 9 seasons of softball league with his pitcher of beer afterwards on Tuesday night.
Hi, I'm here with Pat Rawson at the Lost Factory, and we're going to talk a little bit about shaping surfboards today, basically from the beginning to the end, how you come up with your designs for both surfboards, for surfing, and surfboards that are used for kiting.
Okay.
So,
well, the process is pretty much the same. In surfboard industry, we use polyurethane foam or styrofoam, and this is a molded blank, and this is kind of what we start with. Back in the olden days, we'd actually take tools and we would remove this foam and thin the board down using sanders and like this little planer here that actually removes the foam. And basically that's just built around the customer's need. Like we'll fill out an order card that basically covers all the needs of what the guy wants, the model, where he's going to use the board, as well as all the fiberglassing and stuff. And then it's up to us as a shaper to either use this blank to make a board, and or what we do here at Lost is Matt has 2 shaping machines. We have one that we've had for about 11 years. We just had a new one put in that's pretty much state of the art. And the whole idea here isn't so much to save us work. We don't mind to do the hard work, but the accuracy of the shape is really important. And I found in kiteboarding, the bottom curves are really crucial. So it's really given me an advantage, I think, over maybe guys that don't use a shaping machine. And you can see that in the light, you can still see the cuts that have to be, the area has to be removed. But it does a very good job on the bottom surface. And I think as you kiteboarders out there, that's the main thing when you're strapped in. If you have a good bottom curve, you can really feel the board. But if you've got too much curve in one spot or not enough, you're going to be fighting the whole way, So that's a really key point. And using the technology of a shaping machine, we can get it really close.
right, pretty much so you can get the board identical almost every single time.
Yeah, I mean the idea is just like mixing paint. If you're just squirting in a little red and a little blue and then put some white, it's going to look like puce. But if you have a formula, as you do when you mix paint, it's pretty easy to get your standardization of designs. And most of us that are building a lot of boards now, we have our 5 or 7 models and we stay within that realm, and then everything else is custom, and that's a good market too, but different.
Right. Well, cool. As kiting has become closer to surfing, what are you seeing now in that area of technology and shaping and trends that you think that is going to happen in the future?
Well, I think that all of us have had, with the downturn in the economy worldwide, all of us have gotten a lot smarter.
Right.
Where we place our money, who we buy our materials from, how many guys we sponsor. It's really turned into a balancing act. But I think what's happening is obviously the quality of what we put out for the surfers is really important.
Right.
Because it's become a lot more competitive. And so a lot of the boards we make for kiteboarding are EPS, and their glass really strong. And, I don't know of any other surfboard or any surfer that stands on his board for an hour and a half straight, just going 30 miles an hour and really putting a lot of pressure in his turns. So one of the things I like about it, of kiteboarding, to apply to my surfboard business is I can really redline a construction and really find out what'll hold up the best. You know, I mean, when you go to Hawaii and you got 25, 30 knot winds, you know, you're flying, you're jumping, you're doing all kinds. And, you know, being strapped in, if you are strapped, you're constantly putting pressure in the same spot.
Right.
Whereas in surfing, you're kind of hopping around and moving around, so that you're going to see some dents. But when you're just in one spot, man, I mean, regular surfboards just fall apart so quick.
Right. So what do you think are the main differences between surfboards being ridden as surfboards and then the ones that are being used for kiting?
Well, I think the ones, obviously the strength, and you're building a board, if we're building it for kiting, we're going to build it heavier and stuff. But besides that, I think the average kiteboard that I make, I started off, when it came back to riding a surfboard, I actually used a rocket fish type of bottom curve, which was less curve.
Right.
Thinking that, you know, because you're going at higher speeds, you don't need all that rocker to make the board loose. The board's loose because you're flying. What you need is control.
Okay.
And the other thing would be able to edge. So at least in my surfboard slash kiteboards, I have a little bit less rocker kind of in between the foot strap area, just so that the board can edge and can plane well. But we still want to have curve in the board so that it maneuvers well, and basically it's still got to ride the wave whether you're strapped in or whether you have a kite or not. So it's kind of a fine line there.
Yeah, well, you know, you sacrifice performance for construction, you know.
Right.
So,
Yeah, no, it's always, you're always tossing one thing in for something else. I mean, it's like, I can make the board really light and you'll love it, but it'll be fucked up in a month, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we got to kind of draw a line from, you know, having a board that lasts a month and maybe something to last a whole season and still be, like, say, a 7-pound board, which is okay.
Yeah.
You know? So,
I think a lot of people, when they first pick up a surfboard that are not surfers, they go, oh, the board's meant to last a lifetime because the twin tip that I purchased has lasted this long, and they forget that it's different construction. It's foam, it's fiberglass.
Right.
It's not, you know, it's a different animal. So they go in and they buy a surfboard, whether it be off the rack or a mold injected one, and they go, well, okay, I think this board is going to last me 3 years. And I'm like, well, if you wanted to ride like a true surfboard, it's not, but you're gaining performance from it.
yeah. Well, again, you know, it's a lot like when you take a molded board, you're going to definitely get durability.
Yep.
And some are better than others, for sure. Matt's got his flex lights. They surf pretty well. Mainly they have compression strength, where you, like, if you're strapped in and you're pounding in that same area, whenever you put a layer of cloth and then you skin it and then you glass over that, it's pretty tight.
Yeah.
So we've been able to do, like what we do at Liquid is we have glassing that we feel is, you know, day in, day out going to hold up. But when you grab the board, it isn't like, oh, God, you know, you got to get something that's maybe around 7 pounds with fins in it. So we're kind of trying to thread that needle that, you know, a beginning guy will get some service out of the board, and a guy like Josh, or, you know, they're not going to, because Josh loves light boards. I mean, he's had Stretch to give him all these really light 5-pound boards. And, you know, I think what you do is you draw a line in the middle and try to cover everything with your models. And then custom is where you can do whatever you want, you know.
Yeah.
What we were trying to do in the beginning is just get 2 or 3 basic models. You know, for 09, we've got 4 models. We've got a 5-fin Bonzer that's kind of cool, or 6-fin.
I love that board.
The 6er's pretty cool.
The 6er's amazing, actually.
And then we have the 5-fin, which is really just either a thruster, or it could be take the back thruster fin out and put quad, and that's our round pin, and kind of our Swiss Army knife. You've got to have one board that somebody could just go, well, I'm going to Tahiti, I better grab this, because I know I can get something out of it that's going to work. And then we still have our quads, which, again, is like our 3rd season going in. You know, we're doing all right. It's still there. It's still selling.
Yeah, I mean, the boards that you're shaping, I've ridden, I actually just rode one of the fishes that you did for Corky.
He's really happy with it.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I keep thinking he's blowing smoke up my
No, I can tell.
But everybody's like, I've been getting a thumbs up, and we needed a light wind board, so that's why.
Paul over here behind the camera got to ride it as well, and
Nice.
another Liquid Force rider got to ride it also, and we were just, there was smiles on the beach. Everybody that got to test out the board was just like, can I take it home with me? And I'm like, no, you can't. But it was, I mean, that board was, you know, it's like a real surfboard. It
Yeah.
surfed well. It handled the waves. Even though the waves weren't that big, it just rode amazing.
What did you guys think about the EVF technology, airbag? Having a board airbag and then the custom car paint. We still do the EVFs.
Yeah.
Not as much, but we're doing, and that's been something that was really cool too, you know, because the
Yeah.
boards are really light. When you airbag them, you get all the excess resin out.
Absolutely. Well, I think just I mean, as being a surfer, I know the technology and
Right.
I understand it, but a lot of guys don't. You know, kind of walk us through the process of what it takes for that type of technology, and where do you think it's going?
Well, for airbag technology, I think, you know, there's no stronger way to make a surfboard than to either put skins on it and or put it in a bag and suck all the air out. And it's just basically you're creating a vacuum, you know, minus 12 pounds per square inch type, you know, suck all the air out. And if you do it right, you don't make the board stiff, but you can get a lot of fiberglass in there. And then we just cover them up because they look terrible. I mean, they not. We do glassing in the surfboard industry. We do it very clear, and there's no air bubbles or anything. But when you have vacuum bag, you know, you're not going to get ideally the cosmetics. And we thought painting was really cool because we had Porsche, you know, Cadillac white, all these different colors, Ferrari red, you know. So that was cool. But again, I think a good hand lamp board, like what we're doing on our production boards at LF, I think we found a good basis for price point. I can make $2,000 boards that'll last, but they're $2,000.
Yeah.
You know, we're trying to keep something that the average guy can go in and go, "Is this the new one? Oh, cool!" And he pushes on it, and it's like you're getting something there. You feel like you're getting, and then yet when you pick it up, it still feels light. So that's the key: is trying to find something that works good for all the components, price, you know, service, it's not breaking down, and then
Durability.
and then the board riding. You know?
So I know you're a longtime shaper that has been around the surfing industry for a long time, but how did you get into kiting? What motivated you, or what pushed you or guided you into the kiting industry?
Well, actually, it was cool because being in Hawaii at Backyards, we had the windsurfing capital of the North Shore right there. I mean, Mokes was another place where they do the kiteboarding now, but Backyards was it for windsurfers. And so my son Ryan at the time, he was like 14 or 15, Derek Dorner had a board that was made on Maui, Rush Randall's board actually.
Right.
And Rush had said, "Yeah, show your dad, check it out," and had a round nose. It was like a timponi. It was shaped by timponi. It was a bullet. Yeah, he's had that design for like, I don't know how long. Yeah, that was the first kiteboard I'd ever seen that was made for kiting. And we were making tow boards, so I kind of went, it's kind of a tow board, but it's got a little more curve. So I started, off of that board, I started making boards for Ryan. And then all of a sudden we were with Slingshot, and then we had the Rawson Pro, which was kind of a cool fish type of board with a rocket rail.
Oh, I remember that board well.
Ryan got his cover shot, which was really cool. I mean, it was just a lot of fun. We weren't trying to do anything, and at the time, Slingshot was really cool how we did it. We had the Manta, which was a double ender. But then everything kind of went into a twin tip thing, and Ryan really wasn't big on twin tips. He liked directional. He liked riding a surfboard. So he kind of faded a little bit. He had his twin tips that we did and stuff, but I think what really happened is back in '04, like Mauricio, he came right in, and he had some surfboards. I think he might have even bought them out of High Tech on Maui, but I had met him at the Gorge and really liked him. He's a super nice guy. He's actually turned into a really good friend and stuff. I listened to him on everything. But he had a lot to offer, and he says, "Pat, we're just riding surfboards. Why don't you make me a board?" And I was all like, "Oh, we got to make it strong and put inserts." And he goes, No, I just want a surfboard. Make it weak. Make it light. Make it light.
That sounds like him.
Yeah, I mean, and it was like, "God, you sure?" And I didn't really realize that what was happening in '04 was everybody was just taking the straps and throwing them and just going out on surfboards, which
Getting
was
back to the
very
surfing
cool.
roots.
Yeah, and I mean, it got very soulful, and I think that it stayed. It's actually been around, 5 or 6 years
Absolutely,
now.
yeah.
Nice for me because I'm a surfboard builder. I don't kite myself. I got really bad arthritis that I'm going to hope to get an operation this Christmas so I can become a normal human being again. Get rid of this, you know.
I think we all want to get rid of that.
Oh, no, but I mean, I'd love to kite. I got going, but this thing hurts so much. Anything like surfing and stuff, it puts so much of a, just a strain on it that I just had to not do it. But, you know, the bottom line, I think now is just like this trend seems to have stayed for a long time. And, you know, I know there's a lot of Europeans and a lot of people that don't come from a surf background. They're just looking at the videos and trying to figure out what's best. And I think all the companies, I mean, I know at Liquid we've got some great models. You know, I get email all the time. Most of it good feedback, sometimes not, you know. I mean, it's just, we're making a handmade product, but you know, it's great to see an industry that's just growing slowly, you know, and all it's going to take, like I said, is somebody like Kelly Slater or one of the famous surf guys to jump on it, and everybody will want to do it because it's such a great sport. It's exciting. I got work. I got to see if I got money. Oh, that's good, yeah. So this stuff is going to be last minute. All the last minute. You going to test this machine? Oh, is it January?
I believe they've had it for probably 3 to 4 months. Maybe a little longer.
It's still fresh.
That is fresh.
So there's a lot of stuff. Always something around. You can tell, I mean, you guys did everything don't take it around, he's right to it.
So, give us a little bit of background on what we're looking at right now. Pretty much this is a file that Matt's created. This is the actual board that's being cut at the moment right now. So what you're seeing is the complete board. All the changes have been made, all the concave is going to be put in on the bottom right now when it's being cut.
Gives the contour, gives the rocker line, gives everything else.
That's right.
So why haven't you followed? What caused you to come back? None of my shoes, some really, really good fish. They all pick you up together.
A lot of times I put some tape on the stringer, but this one it gets a pretty elaborate design, so to have that line go right down the center. It's kind of
Has been known to have some crazy designs in their boards. What's your influences when you're doing these boards, and is it pretty much whatever you want, or is there a set design, or is it a little bit of both, or
half and half.
half and half?
A lot of times there's stuff already on the order sheet. Last few years I've been coming up with a lot of new stuff that they've been using, like most of the boards in the catalog or all my stuff. There's a few things that Matt actually designs, and then he'll hand it to me, and I'll kind of do my own interpretation of what he thinks, and then we'll make little adjustments until it gets, you know, exactly what he wants. It's basically what Matt wants. You know, and if something that I do my style is, you know, something that he likes, then it's all good. But mostly it's Matt's stuff. Basically, that's the first color. After that dries, I'll put some more tape over that, do a little cutout, and then throw a little darker color on top of that.
You do like 3 or 4 of them. You don't mind doing that.